G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're of course covering Grand Royale Day 1. We have some huge performances from big favorites like Queasy, Anas, and Thomas HD. We have Benji Fishy in his usual drama battle with Malabuka. We have Chucky's team taking out the top spot on NA East. We have Cease pulling off one of the most alpha strategies I've ever seen. You have to watch why Cease's team is doing so well on NA East. It is the most absolutely broken, ridiculous strategy that I don't think anyone else in any region is doing right now. We also have big news when it comes to orgs. We have Astralis entering our Fortnite, signing none other than Thomas HD. We have Power signing their first international player with Saevid. We have G2's new signing. We have Ghost Gaming buying out 1%. There's a lot to talk about. Let's just jump into it. Before I get into talking about the specific regions, I want to talk about the tournament in general. Grand Royale right now is incredibly stacked, like just absolutely ridiculously stacked. Even on EU, I've never seen lobbies this healthy. Like I'm talking 90 plus alive when first zone surge kicks in almost every time on both EU and NA East. Honestly, causing some server issues to see as well. We have pros tweeting out, I can't even move, rubber banding, but I mean, the servers are holding up well considering how stacked these games are. They are causing some issues, but whatever we want to say about the Grand Royale qualifying format, you know, good teams making it, bad teams making it, whatever you want to say, the games are stacked. The games are phenomenal, and this map right now is showing how much better the games are to watch when people aren't constantly being contested. Yes, that early and mid game, there's kind of like that little bit of a lull because, you know, there's not really anyone fighting. If you're on EU, once you watch the Benji team versus Malabuka team fight, there's not really else much to watch. On NA East, there's a couple of fights to watch, and then it quietens down. But there's not that general sense of frustration with half the map being contested and so many teams not having a good chance to do well. Yes, if you're a Benji Savage fan or a Malabuka fan, it's frustrating right now, but ultimately compare that to a couple FNCSs ago. Remember when like everyone was contested and the FNCS just didn't feel exciting because everyone was just going down on spawn. No one had a good drop spot. There was only like 4 teams that could actually have a good run at the tournament, but that's not happening. We get to focus on the positives of who's doing well. Couple teams, like I said, contested, but overall things are looking a lot better, and I'm enjoying the Grand Royale coming into tomorrow with the double point format. Remember, we have 12 games this weekend, 6 each day, but all the points on day 2 are double. That means you get an elim is 4 points and a win is 60. So even though the leaderboards right now, some teams are pulling ahead, it is going to be brought back tomorrow. And I've already talked about the double point format. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't think it's as competitive, but at least it's exciting. The qualifying format for Grand Royale was not exciting to watch, and it was terrible to play for competitiveness. So it was a lose-lose. This is, you know, frustrating for players, but it's going to be really fun to watch as a spectator. So I'm here for it. Let's start off with EU, and we had some big teams really underperform today, which was quite surprising, but we also had a lot of the big teams show up massive when they needed to. Of course, Queasy, Anas, Thomas HD, uncontested, finally at Caddy Corners is always going to be a recipe for success, and they are in first place after day 1 on 200 points. They got 2 wins back-to-back in their 4th and 5th games, and then a 3rd place in their 6th game. But so far, their worst placement is a 12th place. They have an average placement of 5.83. They are doing phenomenal. And this is what I wanted to see last FNCS. Of course, they were contested, but Kami Teak had such a dominant performance last FNCS. I wonder if even Thomas HD's team uncontested could have made a play for first place, but now we get to see it. Both teams having a phenomenal day here. We have a very underrated team, a Polish team in 2nd place, and no, not Kami Teak, the Polish team we're used to seeing up the very top. We actually have Melody, PKR, and Kefi in 2nd place playing phenomenally. They had one game that was absolutely ridiculous, a 17 elim 2nd in their last game of the day. Now remember, points are doubled tomorrow. So 17 elims today is worth 34 points. Tomorrow, that would have been worth 68 points alone. Just the elims, not the 2nd place. So things looking ridiculous. You got to keep that in mind. These teams that can drop these huge games could have massive, massive jumps forward tomorrow. We have Hen, Tayson, and Chapix in 3rd. So fantastic to see Tayson back on top of the leaderboard. We now have our FNCS champions, Kami Teak, in 4th. They're playing very well. They got a 7 elim win in their last game. So again, I think they're kind of bringing it back right at the very end. They're hopefully going to go into day 2 very, very strong. We have our new power signing, Saevid, who I'm going to talk about later in this video. We have Power, Saevid, Amplify, and Matzo on 149 points in 5th. Noel Riley's team coming in 6th. We then had Crow's team, who's been really, really consistent in 8th. Sorry, also missed Flowers' team in 7th out of Uncon Lazy. I feel like Flowers' team right now is a team I'm expecting to have a bigger day 2 than what they did day 1. They're playing well, but I really, truly think they could be playing even better. Then we have Joe's team team in 9th. We have ETQ in 10th, and then Benji and Dredder Savage in 11th. And this is a big talking point right now. Their match history is ridiculous. And I mean, if you've been following EU competitive at all, you know what this match history is due to. It's either they die in 33rd, or they get a 7 elim 4th, a 9 elim 3rd, or an 8 elim 5th. This team right now, I think, might be the most consistent, if not top 2 most consistent teams with Thomas HD's team if they make it off spawn. When they make it off spawn, they go on to dominate. They went 3-3 to Malabuka's team. Malabuka winning 3 times on spawn. Benji winning 3 times on spawn. Last season, we saw Malabuka's team do a bit better when they made it off spawn than Benji's team, but right now, it's all coming up Benji. If they make it off spawn, they pop off. And it's sad to see it. It starts this big conversation we've had many times. Should one of them leave? Should they go somewhere else? But there's not a lot of drop spots available on the map right now. It's just, I think everyone, no matter who you're rooting for, Malabuka or Benji, you can agree it's sad to see 2 phenomenal teams going down on spawn, and both of them probably not gonna have the best tournament. We'll see. Day 2 tomorrow. Let's say Benji's team wins 4 or 5 out of 6 tomorrow, or Malabuka's team wins 4 out of 5 out of 6. If they go on to play like they are now with double points, they could have a big jump up on the leaderboard. And honestly, they should be very impressed with their 11th place overall. They are doing very, very well. I'm not gonna read every single team. There's also some other big teams up there. Like we have Antics team, we have Lucia's team in there as well. The one that I wanted to talk about though, which was quite surprising to me and probably gonna be surprising to a lot of you guys, was actually Aqua's team. So Aqua, unfortunately, I don't know what's going on here. Aqua, Fast Jockey, and Rezon, 52 points in 27th place with Uncon Boney. Just seems like Surge is their biggest issue right now. Don't know what it is. Don't know why that is. They are a very height dominant team. I could see them having a big day too, but right now, Thomas HD's team is loving the fact that Aqua's team is struggling, because that's one of their main opponents on high ground. If Aqua's not making end games, that means high ground is pretty free for Thomas HD. The 2 games that Thomas HD's team won from high ground, they both got high ground at half into first rotating, and no one challenged them the entire end game. They went from first rotating to end game without anyone going for height. Yes, that's because Thomas HD's team is so good at holding high ground and they put down so much pressure, but if there was teams like Aqua in the end game who play really aggressive with launch pads going for high ground, I don't think that story would be the same. So right now, EU looking pretty exciting, but like everyone's saying, like you have Thomas HD's team saying, it's all about day 2. Day 1 doesn't count. When you think about it, today's points are only worth 1/3 of the total points up for offer. You've got 6 games today, 6 games tomorrow, but they're doubled. So if you think about this like a 12-game format, technically today only counts for 4 of those games. So there is a lot of chance for comebacks here. Moving on to NA East, and a very, very dominant performance from a team that I don't want to say people weren't expecting to do well, but not expecting to do this well. We have Zlem, TK, and Chucky right now, the double TNG game in first on 217 points. They have over a 60-point lead on second place right now, which is an FNCS winning team. They are playing out of their minds, and it's at the result of a 16 elim win in their last game. Like I said, with the double points is going to be up for grabs today, that 32 points for elims turns into 64, and that 30-point win turns into 60. That is a 124-point game if they can replicate that today. That is ridiculous. So they have their lead, but it also shows you how quickly that lead can be cut down here. They only have the 1 win, but they did get a 10 elim 3rd, 5 elim 4th, a 9 elim 6th, and then they had an 11th place and a 16th place. So far looking very, very good for this team. They are playing very, very well. We also have Slacks, Jack, and Acorn in second, our FNCS winners from a few seasons ago on 153, playing really, really well, and it's good to see them on top. They struggled through the reboot rounds, one of the biggest teams to almost not qualify out of reboot rounds with a lot of games on offer. They played the full 32, they got in off the load path, but they're absolutely popping off now. Great to see from them. We have Duke, Miro, and Booger. Obviously, I know Booger's getting a lot of crap right now still because from the Muzz fans, people really upset about that. But honestly, Dukes, Miro, and Booger proving maybe Dukes was a big pickup. Obviously, they were in first place with Muzz. Muzz is my homie. Absolutely love him. But Dukes is fitting in right well, and they are playing very well as a team right now on 144. We have Cease, Cold, and Elite, which was my underrated dark horse to do well this FNCS. They have an interesting playstyle, to say the least. They're going Coral Castle. A lot of people knowing that the Coral Castle bounce pad trick. I've talked about this in videos. You get a shadow cube, you jump, you have to swim in the water, you dive onto the platform, and then it bounces you all the way across the map. Good for rotation, but usually Coral still has the issue with Surge. Well, Cease's team has combined this strategy. Why don't we do both? Why don't we rotate, then get our Surge? They are basically waiting until second zone, usually having to heal in zone, waiting until zone closes in, they hit the pad fly, and then just swanton on teams' heads. Anyone who has their roof open, Cease's team is going to land in their box, and they're gonna one pump them. They either get elims and surge, or they at least just get surge and disengage. Honestly, it's a strategy I haven't really seen a lot of people using out of Coral. Yes, people have been doing, you know, the shadow cube into swanton play, but people haven't been basing their entire strategy around it, waiting in zone, healing until teams actually base up to then utilize it. It's honestly working so well for them right now, and it has them in 4th place. So we'll see, maybe if teams catch on to it, a few pros tweeting out and talking about it, people starting to pay attention and realize this is what they're doing. So Cease is making no friends right now in NAEs. Let's say that. There's a lot of teams right now who are having their games thrown just by not putting a roof on their head in 2nd zone. We also have Skittles, Justice, and Users in 5th right now. Oz Visuals and Frist, who were in 1st place at one point, unfortunately falling off the pace. They got a 19th, 29th, and 20th place in their last 3 games, really falling down, but showing at the start of their tournament they could pick up the pace coming into tomorrow and really jump back up there. Commandment Centered and Stretch still doing well, just not Commandment Centered Stretch well. A lot of people really wanted to see this team have the performance like a lot of people thought they would. Again, going back to my old videos, people saying this is the best team that's potentially ever formed in NA East, and they're yet to prove it. But day 2, I'm going to keep talking about that. Day 2, we have D-Roller's team in 8th, Niddle in 9th, Jamper in 10th. Not going to go through the whole leaderboard, but NA East right now, not too many huge upsets. I mean, I had high hopes of Blake, Scoped, and Vert, but they are getting dropped on by Gonzo right now. I mean, they're dropping on each other. They're both kind of splitting the alien section over near Pleasant. Whole bunch of beef, whole bunch of drama going on over there, which is unfortunately affecting Scope's team. I know you guys want to know what's going on with Muzz. Muzz did end up qualifying, kind of the people's champ right now. Unfortunately, they're in 29th place as Muzz, Joji, and Rokane are actually contesting Rokane's old teammates, Mega and Dubs, now playing with Pump at Boney Burbs, and it's not going well for either of them. 48 points for Muzz, and then we have 63 points for Mega's team, so both of them unfortunately not doing well out of Boney Burbs. Muzz has been jumping in my chat during the viewing parties, getting frustrated. People saying the same thing about to Benji, just drop somewhere else, just go somewhere else, stop ego challenging. There's just really nowhere else, unfortunately, right now, and Rokane is the IGL of Muzz's team. He knows Boney Burbs incredibly well. He knows the rotates, knows the surge strat, so that's the job he wants to go. It just shows, again, like Muzz said in the interview video I did with him, going to a new region, one of the most important things is getting a drop spot, and right now, Muzz just doesn't have one. We've got a bit of an upset on our hands on NA West, and I only say that because Reed, Arkham, and Epicwell aren't in 1st, but they're not even in 2nd either. We have Poffy's team taking out the 1st place slot on 196 points, 6 matches played with 1 win, doing phenomenally, by far the most consistent team on the day. We have Rex, Fabs, and Snacky in 2nd on 175, 6 matches and 2 wins, which seems weird to see them behind with 2 wins. It's because their last 2 games, unfortunately, was a 2 Elim 22nd and a 0 Elim 21st. After game 4, it really did look like Rex was going to run away with the tournament, but unfortunately closing out the tournament a little bit weakly, but showing that they really do have the potential to take this one tomorrow. And then we of course have Arkham, Reed, and Epic Whale in 3rd on 155 points. Remember, obviously those teams look the same. If you haven't been following West, you might not even realize what's going on. Arkham and Epic Whale deciding to drop Rex to play with Reed. Reed choosing to split with his FNCS winning team, Fabs and Snacky. So those 2 teams kind of just merged and split. And right now, unfortunately, Reed's team falling behind. But for you Reed fans, if you look at the match history, it does kind of tell a story of how well they should be doing if they just had a little bit more. They have the 1 win, but their last 3 games, a 5 Elim 10th, 1 Elim 8th, and 2 Elim 13th. All 3 of those games, they have about 22 to 23 minutes survived in the game. A Fortnite game ends after 25 minutes. So that's where if you live an extra minute and a half, you're getting top 3 or a win. So they were so close to getting so many points 3 games in a row. Really, really unfortunate to see, but they bring it back on day 2. Everybody knows Arkham and Epic Whale are day 2 players. That has always been their story. Obviously, last FNCS, they couldn't bring it back, but the 2 before that, it came down to them not being in 1st on day 2 and usually getting a double win to close out the tournament, or I believe a 1st and a 2nd. So they really do close out big on day 2 when the pressure's on. Let's hope Reek being added to the equation only adds to that, because with the double points on offer, they're going to need to. It would be a big upset not to see Reed's team win, but I'm all here for it. I'm so excited to watch the West games because we really do have some fantastic teams vying out for the top spot. I mean, we still have Yumi's team in 4th. We have Quinn in 5th. We have Middy's team in 6th. Like, there's a lot of good NA West teams that could really take it home tomorrow. This is not Reed, Arkham, Epic Whale's region by any means yet. Now, talking about a region that I don't discuss too much, but you have to cover this performance. We have Opai, Fazin, and GSX. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Out of Brazil, getting 253 points, winning 4 of their 6 games, kicking off Grand Royale with a back-to-back Victory Royale, getting a 14 elim win, 10 elim win, 10 elim win, and 3 elim wins. So, I mean, if it wasn't for Grand Royale having the double points on day 2, and maybe that's why they did this team would be unstoppable. And I have to imagine with that kind of performance, they'll run it into tomorrow. They did fall off the pace at the end, but I mean, a 7 elim 7th and a 5 elim 10th is not terrible. That's not really falling off. It's just because it's not 4 wins in a row. So hats off to this team, and I want to see if they can maybe put up something like this tomorrow. If they get like 8 wins out of 12 in a Grand Royale, that would be disgusting. Moving on to some orgs signing big players in the Fortnite scene. I haven't talked about this too much on my video, but there are so many I need to cover today. We have legendary esports org Astralis moving into Fortnite, and some of you guys as Fortnite followers might not know who Astralis is. I know a lot of the Fortnite esports scene is a bit younger. They don't follow other esports, but Astralis has one of, if not the most legendary Counter-Strike teams to ever exist. They are a phenomenal org, and so excited to see them move into Fortnite and doing it with none other than signing Thomas HD. Literally the perfect candidate for this org. I cannot think of a better free agent that was available for them to sign to just fit everything that they embody. And the announcement was so sick. They had some IRL content, Thomas HD decked out in the Astralis merch. They did have the Fortnite montage in there that was very well done, showing they're willing to adapt to more of a Fortnite audience, and it's just great to see it. Same as like when G2 moved over. Whenever any really established org who, you know, runs things well comes to Fortnite, it makes me so happy and so excited for the future of competitive Fortnite. With the hype hour recently and all of Epic's plans for 2022, I think we're going to have even more big signings and big movements of new orgs, like established orgs that are new to Fortnite coming in. So I'm very excited to see that. It's great for the players. It's great for content for you and I. We also have Power. Now, Power's been around for a long time, but based out of OCE, they have signed their first international player with none other than Saevid. And again, such a phenomenal candidate for this team. Power has always been focused more around content. I think Saevid always being one of the more content creator pros in the sense that he just makes a lot of content and cares about content. They were one of the only teams that was actually streaming the EU Grand Finals, so that was also huge publicity for the new signing. I mean, they're currently in top 5 right now, so looking really good. The announcement was great. It was super high budget. They did like this IRL kind of Squid Game thing where Saevid, you know, did the Squid Game challenge, got the card, you know, went and did an interview. I saw some people in my stream say it was cringe, but I feel like anytime you put in effort or try to do something different, some Fortnite kids are always going to say it's cringe, but I thought it was well done. I thought it was unique. It was cool, and Saevid did a great job at it. So very happy for those 2 signings. We also have the huge news that Ghost Gaming bought out 1%. Now, this is an interesting one for me, and I don't know all the nuances, and I'm still a little bit confused as to how this works, buying out an existing org as an org. I mean, I think one of the main assets here is just building on the reputation 1% has built and their huge content following. They have a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers that has now been rebranded to Ghost Gaming. That is worth a lot. 1% has most of their original roster outside of Kiwis and Formal. I believe everyone else is still left. I haven't followed 1% as much because they signed a couple of pro players, but mostly they've been focused on making their content around the casual audience, you know, having the content house and all that stuff, which I think is really cool. If any esport is going to be able to sustain an org that makes content catering to casuals, it's going to be Fortnite. And Ghost is one of those orgs that has been legendary in Fortnite. The OG Ghost roster was one of the best to ever exist, and they kind of just disappeared. I talked about in a video ages ago, and I remember there being a lot of, you know, talks about they just didn't manage their funds properly. There wasn't a lot of investment, but overall they signed really good players and seemed to do really good things. So that is a big step for Ghost, and it's a big step for Fortnite as well. I'm excited to see what they could do with it because there's a lot of potential there right now, and I feel like Fortnite content is going down a little bit, especially towards the casual audience. And I do hope though that Ghost can do some really cool things with this, and maybe they won't even stay into Fortnite with this. Maybe they'll branch onto another game with whatever this is. I'm still not entirely sure how, you know, joining 2 orgs works like that, but they made a really cool trailer about it that explained a lot of it, so I'm down for it. Last big bit of org news, we of course, and this was a few days ago, but I missed it. I didn't really want to talk about it in yesterday's video because it's all about the hype hour. We did have Ajerss joining G2, so G2 proving they are going to stick around in Fortnite, which is incredible. Just like Astralis, another phenomenal org which has ties to a whole bunch of other esports, signing really good pros in Fortnite. So love to see it. Alright guys, if you liked the video, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.